Introducing myCNTRL. We're a free and open source solution, and we're easy for developers to simply plug and play into their stack so that they can make it easy for their users to grant and rescind consent to use their data. It takes a granular approach to consent, so their users can actually specify which of their data can be used for which job and for how long. And that matters because to comply with GDPR and other emerging privacy regulations, you have to follow granular consent. You also have to have an audit trail of that consent. And for this, we offer a choice of either using a pre-integrated, decentralized solution, or you can just use the output through the APIs and create your own audit trail. We're molecular new. We help health researchers and innovators discover bold new solutions using omic data. You don't really need to know what omic data is specifically. What you need to know is it's some of the most personal data on the planet. So we needed a simple way for people to consent to when and how their personal data could get used. We needed to make sure that consent was kept in an evidence trail that satisfied health organizations and government regulators all around the world. And we couldn't find a solution, so we built our own. We've been on this journey for 4 years, and if we learned anything, it's how incredibly difficult this is to do. And that matters because we're entering an era where literally every digital app and solution is going to need a granular consent solution. The reason is that governments around the world are implementing stringent new personal privacy rules, and that pace is accelerating. And all of these new regulations require granular consent and an audit trail of that consent. This is awesome for people because abusing people's personal data is not okay, but it doesn't come without a cost. The days of blanket consent are over. It's done. And that brings an exponentially higher compliance burden to literally every app and service on the planet, because all of these regulations may mandate granular consent, which means that you have to validate a person's identity. You have to get specific consent for what data you can use for what job for how long, and you have to retain that consent in an audit-ready form. This is not optional. These are mandatory laws and they have global reach. And they have massive fines if you don't comply. Europe is the leader and GDPR is already in place and we've already seen massive fines, but even America, which is considered to be a laggard, has been issuing huge fines. This is a major deal. And it's about to become even more major because generative AI is pushing the demand for ethical AI. And that, again, pushes for granular compliance for the use of data in those data sets. The world is shifting really fast. And when you back up and look at this whole situation, what you realize is that, okay, it's right to give people absolute control over how their data is used, but that actually requires forcing every digital app and service on the planet to create a globally compliant system for giving their users the ability to grant or rescind consent and to hold an auditable record of that consent in a form that satisfies regulators all around the world. This is so onerous that it literally could grind the pace of innovation to a halt. And that's bad because the world has some wicked problems and we need innovation to solve them. But it's also bad because if every innovator on the planet creates their own system, this is a user nightmare, constantly having to learn and use an endless collection of different consent solutions and try to make sense of where you gave consent and where you didn't. You break the whole point of giving people this power in the first place. Honestly, this is a level of friction that's just not going to survive. And that's precisely why we were inspired to convert our solution into a plug and play open source solution that any startup or digital innovator could use at no cost. Wait, isn't this problem already being solved? Well, yeah, there's solutions, sort of, kind of. Okay, it's not really being solved because the reality is that every innovator is going to rely on data and algorithms, but they're going to, if they do that, they're forced to comply with these regulations around the world, and that requires complex systems, and either that's really hard to build and run on your own, or it's really expensive to buy from somebody else. So yeah, but no. So we have this compelling vision. We see a world where digital innovators simply plug and play an open source personal consent solution, and they get on with the job of innovating. And frankly, a freemium model is the best fit. The core functionality can be free and easy to integrate, and then you can add complementary services that are totally optional and can be used just on a subscription or metered service basis. Things like build your own audit trail or use a plug and play decentralized audit trail. pre-integrate with identity and enterprise consent solutions so you don't need to do that when you bring in enterprise partners. Maybe real-time compliance validation that maps against changing regulations, or data collaboration matchmaking. I think the list is kind of endless, and we'll work with the open source community and identify and create more add-ons as we go. We're well on our way. We've got a working solution. We've done rigorous user testing. We're actively entering into strategic collaborations, and we hope that you'll come and join us and help us bring this vision to life. Thank you. And if you'd like to discuss this further, please reach out. We'd love to have a chat.